the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Latinum, you need it, I need it, we all need it. And in this video, I really want to focus on specifically upper G3 and G4 and above players on how to get more. Now, don't worry if you're a lower level player, let's say you're level 32 or 25 or whatever, am going to be doing something similar for y'all. However, the biggest thing that has, spurred this video on has been the change of daily events. And without buying packs, how do you get Latinum? Well, for the lower levels, I'm waiting on Scopely to see what they're going to do as it pertains to, providing a different source of ultra recruits and Latinum for lower levels, as we've discussed. I've already had conversations with the devs about that. Now we wait. But I do want to reiterate to everybody else, there are a lot of ways to earn Latinum, and I want to go through those ways with you. In fact, we sat through my Discord and talked about this, where players in the low 40s, free to play, they're leaving anywhere from 500 to 1.5 million Latinum on the table per month if they're not aware of the various ways to go about it. So I want to talk about some of those major points here in today's video. If you can't tell by the background, there's a hint right there. But let's start with away teams. Now, away teams have long been known as one of the big things to go after if you're wanting to get more Latinum and more resources in general. In fact, there's a Latinum mission waiting for me and an officer training mission. I'm going to go grab that here in a second. But with this video focusing on Latinum, we're looking at things like Form Trade Agreement, which most of you already know is a great example. Now, you will not get the same amount that I will in G5, of course. It does vary based on where you're at ops level wise, but you'll see this one, a 24,000 for me. But let's take it just beyond that. It's not just that one. There are a lot of different ones that we can take a look at, and we'll click through all the various ones here. And it's a critical success, as you can see with this one right there. So there are ways to get it. Let's talk about all the different missions that pay this out. And I have put together a handy dandy chart for you with this right here. Now, shout out to John Siskar. For those that don't know, we have a lot of great content creators out there. Siskar has a website that tracks these. What I did is pulled all of the ones that are specifically for Latinum. Now, if you look over on the far right, there is a maximum critical chance. Now, you'll notice that Form Trade Agreement, one of the ones that you noticed in my away team run, the only one that is 100% max. However, all of them have a min crit chance except for diplomatic relations. And one thing that you'll also notice is most of these are not one-day events. Remember, for years, Rev has said, always do 4, 8, and 12-hour ones. Here's a good reason why. Now, some of these are level gated. And out the way so y'all can see this for a second. If you want this, of course, you can reach out to me, and on the Discord, we'll send you this graphic if you need it. It's already posted in my Discord. However, these are many ways to get it, and as the traits you're going to need right there on the side, with some of those traits being reoccurring. You see engineer traits a lot. There are a lot of officers that have engineer trait. You'll see diplomat, you'll see pilot. There are a couple of early characters that have pilot, including uncommons like the original Sulu or the Kelvin Sulu, that allow you to get some of these done. Again, this is one of those things that it adds up over time. The big thing for me is, are players doing these things every single day? That to me is the key. If you're doing it every day, that 9,000 I just had will add up. Take, for example, this one right here. This is accelerated bioforming. I personally love this for a couple of reasons. Number one, speed ups. Yes, regular speed ups. In a world where we need more and more things, this one allows us to have those things. So you can see there are a variety of officers that I have that will apply here. LaForge, for example, being an engineer and a physicist. We can also go down to the inventor tab, and you'll find several there that will apply, including, and what I like to focus on are the rares, because as you can see, rares, and as you are sure very well aware, rares cost less to upgrade than epics. We've discussed this before, and maybe it's time for a refresher. Remember, when it comes to what pays out what in this game, it's often, pragmatic to take a look at efficiency values. Why? Well, quite simply because things get more expensive, and not everybody can afford to do all the expenses. And I get that. You may not be able to afford to upgrade things like I have, or how higher spenders have, or just people in general. So with that in mind, we're going to take a look at this. So trait cost. Let's talk trait cost. If you were to focus on the rares, for example, for this one, this is why we focus on them. Because if you look at the epics cost significantly more. So if you can take advantage of rares for similar, positions, for example, physicist and inventor with somebody like Paul Stamets is going to be a lot cheaper to upgrade and max out to have all the traits they need than an epic that would provide all of them. Because it's not very often that you have an epic that does all three, though they do exist. So anyway, back to the purpose of this video. Let's just do scientists. We'll grab one. As you can see, I have several scientists. I'm just going to use Spock. And without throwing in the inventor, I'm just going to ignore the inventor. I am currently sitting at a 66% chance to get 5,000 more Latinum, but more importantly for a lot of y'all, this right there. And this is the theme of what I'm trying to hopefully impart to all of you with these. If you are paying attention to all of your away team missions, you can get a lot of Latinum every day. Even when I was in G4, I was pulling up to 20,000 Latinum per day. Obviously, if you multiply that by 30 days, we're getting into the hundreds of thousands range. That's going to help out, but that's not the only way currently available. However, it is one of the ways that I would encourage you to start preparing. Now, real quick, just to answer the question, well, how do you get the trade XP for that? Remember, you get trade XP every day for completing an away team, which you can see that right there. But especially for our G4 players, this gets forgotten about. Go to your Bajoran faction. In the Bajoran faction, there are ways to get more. And that's right here. Do your solo modas, and this will help you keep up with the trade XP. I always talk about wanting to be able to triple pull this as often as possible. So if you're not already focusing on solo armadas, here's a good reason why. You want to get more Latinum? Well, you max out all those officers with trade XP. You're pulling this triple pull every day, getting over 12,000 trade XP from this. You're going to help yourself get to the point that you're looking for. But what are more ways that we can obtain some of that precious Latinum? Well, whether you want to mine it or whether you want to do the what I would call the cheater method, because I don't like mining Latinum and turning it in, you can come into your X Borg and right here, Feesha Latinum efficiency to get the raws. Now, I want to point out to somebody who's watching this going, well, Rev, I didn't max out my Devore or my Feesha. You're probably going to want to. Why? In the near future, not saying in the very near future, but in the future, you're going to have the Devore and the Feesha both. Yes, both end up in the independent archives. This is actually already being confirmed by the dev team. Game designers said they're going to get thrown in here, so we know when those get added, what are we going to find? More Latinum. So we're going to have maxed those out. But to the point, right now, you can already use these to source Latinum. Maxing out your Devore and your Feesha is going to give you more, and I haven't even done that. I'm speaking to myself that I need to go and do both of those. But again, this is more every day. Now, there's a third way of everyday Latinum that I want players to really focus on trying to obtain, and that is actually in the Voyager refinery. Before you really worry about the ship part problems that really plague G5 and G6, what I used often was using the Devore Feesha commerce. This was very common for me at the lower level. So when I say lower level, speaking of my time in the 40s, this was another pull. So as you can see, we're talking about 18K here, 20K there between away teams. Grabbing more from the Feesha. It's pretty mathematically easy to see how I can earn 500,000, a million, 1.5 by doing all these things, but only if you're focusing. Now, for those curious, well, hey, Rev, how do I get enough commerce signia to be able to afford all these pulls? Well, number one, you actually want to be working on your Voyager independent archive so that this becomes cheaper. Coming into the Borg systems right here, and you're going, well, Rev, what the heck does that have to do with Latinum? If you come into here, you're wanting to summon these data cubes. What happens when you summon the cubes? Here's the neat thing about this mechanic. As you go and fight these, you have a chance of a box dropping. Now, here's the thing. When a box drops from a Borg hostile, and I'm going to tell you ahead of time, the assimilated cubes do not do it every time. But here's the thing. If they drop, you have to wait for the timer. You get commerce insignias for it. So, to fund your Latinum every day from the Voyager refinery, simply do your summoning of Borg. And if you're working right now on your independent archive to max it out, remember, this makes the Voyager more efficient when it comes to those pulls. Here's your 15% Voyager cost efficiency. You can see it goes up as you get to maxing it out. Hopefully mine maxes out today, meaning I'll be able to pull even more. So again, point of this, you're wanting to do your summons so that you can grab all the things. And did he take my, you lent liquor. You took my cube. You didn't even beat it. Here, Ray. All right, so purpose again, destroying these, getting the box so that you can get commerce insignias, getting more Latinum. I know things are a little bit harder now than they were before. Hopefully this video gives you points in that right direction. If you need anything else, let me know. Don't worry, I am of course going to keep pushing them for this, and I didn't even cover events that pay out Latinum like Parabellum. So if you're needing help finding those, there's always a few tips, tricks, hints, etc. out there to make it a little bit easier. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and don't worry, we will continue to push the overlords to give out more of these resources to all of us. Live long and plunder, stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. If you need anything, of course, contact me on Discord, Facebook, X, wherever. We'll hit you up and leave a comment if you have some tips and tricks that maybe I left out. See you on the next one. God bless. Love you. I'm out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.